Good day, everyone. You're welcome to PAE 284 class. PAE 284 is parasitology and entomology techniques. Recall that this course focused on practical techniques in parasitology and entomology. And so far, we have introduced ourselves to the entomology part of the course, where we introduce ourselves to insects. We have also discussed various ways in which entomologists can collect insects from the field for research purposes and for other purposes too. We have also discussed that in trying to collect insects, there are two different methods by which entomologists can collect insects from the field. And we categorize them into two. The first one is active collection technique, and the second one is passive collection technique. You should remember that under the active collection techniques, we talked that method involves entomologists practically collecting insects real time in the field. And in active collection, you talk about using sweep nets, even hand-picking collection, and beating collection. They are all active collections, and whereby the insects are collected immediately in the field by the entomologists, and the insect collected are taken to the laboratory immediately. And then on the other part, we have also talked about passive collection technique. And under the passive collection technique, we mentioned at least 5 different traps that entomologists can use to collect insects in the field passively. In the list of the 5 different types of traps, we have the first one, Pitfall trap. The second one, light trap. The third, sticky trap. The fourth one, pheromone traps. And then the fifth is a flight intercession traps. And all these are traps, but they work in different ways. And so for the purpose of this lecture, we are going to talk more about pitfall traps. And so recall that pitfall traps are used to collect more of insects that crawl on the ground or in the field. Pitfall traps cannot be used to collect flying insects effectively. And so, when talking about using pitfall traps to collect insects, there is a procedure that must be followed one after another so that the desired results will be achieved at the end of the day. And now, we want to look into the 6 processes that we must follow in order to effectively use pitfall trap. Now, we have the first one on screen. The first one starts with choosing a location where we will set our trap, or where the entomologist will set the trap, the pitfall trap. You know, most insects move about in vegetations where they find their food, and where maybe some of the insects prey on other insects, and where they also engage in different types of ecological activities within the vegetation. And so when you want to set pitfall trap, you must locate a place where you have abundance of the targeted insects. Such insects that you are targeting for pitfall trap may include beetles and spiders and some other crawling insects. So you must set the trap within a vegetation in the field, maybe where you have a grassland, some types of trees, and some other vegetations where these insects inhabit. So when you locate the place, that is the first thing, you must mark the actual point where you will set your trap. And number two, because it is a pitfall trap, setting the trap starts with making a hole or a pit. A hole or a pit. And how deep will this hole be? It mustn't have to be necessarily too deep. Maybe between 20 to 30 cm is okay for such insects. The hole will be a little deeper, up to between 20 to 30 cm, so that trapped insects that fall into such holes will not be able to crawl out so easily. And so when making the hole, the entomologist should use either a shovel or a trowel to dig such a hole. The hole will not be too wide, but it will be wide enough so that whatever you'll be using for the hole, for the pit, will be able to fit into the hole. And so after choosing the location, you use shovel or trowel to dig a hole that will serve as the pitfall trap. And so you're not going to leave the hole like that, and that takes us to the third thing that should be done. The third thing that should be done after digging the hole is to insert a clean small bucket or basin that will fit into the hole. Yes, when the basin fits into the hole or into the pit, it is inside these basins or buckets that the insects will crawl into. That is where they will crawl into. So after fitting in the bucket or the basin, you use the sand around to fill up the walls, the outside walls of the basin or the bucket that has been fit into the hole. And so when that is done, it prevents the insects that is crawling from falling outside the wall of the trap. But when you cover the outside to the tip of the basins, it will help the insect to crawl directly into the pit, into the trap. And so you can see a sample of a basin, a bucket, a small one that is not, that will not be deeper than the hole, but almost the same size as the hole, so that it'll be able to fit in. So you can see it as shown in the image below. And so, because it's a passive collection method, when the traps are set, the entomologists will not stand by watching the trap all night. After setting it, then we now do what is in the point number 4, which is allowing the trap to stay overnight. Staying overnight will allow the trap to collect the targeted insects within the period. The targeted periods crawl over the traps and they fall into the traps. And because they are not flying insects, they will remain in the trap all night until the next day. So when this is done, we are now done with setting the trap. And so the next day, the entomologist visits the site of the trap. Of course, because the area is highly populated with crawling insects, when the entomologist visits the next day, it is expected that many crawling insects must have fallen into the pit or into the pitfall trap. And so what you do is to observe the trap to make sure that the targeted insects has been collected into the trap. And once you are sure that that is done, the next is to do point number 6. And the point number 6 is to record your collections. Record your collections. Very, very important. It is very important because where insects are collected and the type of insects and the conditions of the environment are very necessary during research. So you must separate the insects according to their likes. And then you document the general descriptions of the insects that you have collected. And then you must fix in the dates when the insects were collected, and then fix in the location where they are collected. Date is very important because seasons of the year influence the abundance of insects. By January, February, March, that is dry season in the tropical region of the world, certain insects are collected. But when it is rainy season, maybe from April, May, June down to October, such insects that were collected in dry seasons may no longer be found in abundance, if at all, in such areas, while you may start seeing other types of insects that are much abundant during the rainy seasons. So it's very necessary to record the dates of the collections and then record the location where such insects were collected. This helps the entomologist during research to actually know the exact information concerning the specimens that they are working with. So this is a general overview of the processes involved in pitfall trap collection. And so we are going to take some class exercise so that we'll be able to test our knowledge of the lecture that we have just taken. So if you look at this slide, you will see the processes involved in pitfall collection. They are now mixed together. The number 1 to 6 are mixed together, not serially arranged. So at the comment section, go to the comment section and arrange the insect trapping procedures shown below in serial order. Arrange them in serial order from number 1 to 6 appropriately, the way we introduced them during the lecture. Of course, the purpose is for us to see how much information we have grabbed from this lecture. Thank you so much for listening.